So data from the economic survey has basically approximates that we have 15,205 private pre-primary, 11,739 private primary, and 1,267 private secondary schools. So really, there's been a growing trend towards the growth of private schools. And the objective of this forum is therefore clear and purposeful: to highlight the critical role private schools play in delivering quality, innovative, and future-focused learning solutions. More importantly, the platform supports parents and students as they navigate the often complex but rewarding journey of selecting the right education path. So, ladies and gentlemen, you will agree with me that the world that our children are growing into a dynamic, digital, and deeply interconnected world. This explains why this year's Expo, we have introduced the AI Future Makers Workshop, and I think Eva will be giving us a detailed learning around there. We must embrace innovation, technology, and new ways of learning, including STEM. I recently visited China, and in China, STEM is really the main study platform, because the world is going into a different space altogether. So we must encourage mathematics and sciences as a key education learning point. And I think this is what we're trying to say schools like this provide. So through this expo, we will showcase what makes each institution unique. And I like what Sogoti said. It's not like these schools are all in Nairobi today. Private schools are all over the country. So even whichever town you are in, there's a private school. And so they've got a space to fill. And we're going to be looking at them. And you'll see some of them here. For our parents and students, it opens a window to diverse, dynamic educational options available today. We are keen on helping families make informed choices, grounded in understanding rather than guesswork. Some of the exhibitors are also people who are in other industries like musical. I've seen there's a musical team around here, because what private schools give you is a holistic child and whole 360 learning. Both your soft, hard skills are combined. So the next 2 days, you will engage with exhibitors, participate in panel discussions, and interact with experts who are shaping the future of education. I must say, this is a rare moment where the full ecosystem of basic education comes together under one roof to imagine what the next generation of innovators can achieve. Ladies and gentlemen, as I conclude, I'd like to reiterate that at Nation Media Group, we remain committed to creating these platforms through events and impactful content, because we firmly believe that the youth are not just leaders of tomorrow, but leaders of today. It is our belief that we have intentionally invested in a diverse portfolio of youth-focused initiatives aimed at empowering, inspiring, and elevating the next generation. So over the years, we have run youth-centered content, which include the CBE Connect, My Network, The High Schooler, Teen Republic, it's going to be here tomorrow, G3, and The Trend. You can see all that content. It's a lot, right? It's all there. On the events front, we have Rada Yetu, a youth-centered initiative that provides university students and youth with a dynamic platform to engage with their peers and access expert advice and openly discuss important topics like mental health, career growth, and personal development. Another flagship initiative is the Skill Up Africa, which brings together stakeholders to reflect on and empower the youth with skills they need, whether for employment or for successful entrepreneurship. Ladies and gentlemen, as we kick off this conference, I want to urge us all to approach it with openness and a shared vision for excellence in education. I believe that together we have the power to influence not just schools or families, but the future of our children. And in parting, you know, a lot of us look at education and you look at it as part of something you must do as a parent. But look at education as an investment. The best investment to leave your child is knowledge. If you leave them money, if you leave them shambas, if you leave them cars, all that will go to waste. The best investment is knowledge, and that will take them far. So I want to really thank all of you for making time to come here. You are serious parents. Whoever is not here, should actually tomorrow come here if they want to really give their child a good education and invest in them. Don't leave the money in the bank account. Give them money and give them power in their brains. So thank you very much. And with that note, I'd like to invite our chief guest to come, the representative of the PS, Mr. Kip Turgo. Thank you very much for spending time and come over to address the congregation. Thank you very much.
A round of applause. Thank you so much, Mr. Geoffrey Odundo, our group CEO and MD. Asante Sana. Remember, one more time, we're live on TV right here at NTV Kenya. In case you're joining us right now, this is the 4th edition of the Kenyan Private Schools Expo and Conference happening right here at Sarit Center. Remember, it's absolutely free, and this is the 4th edition of it happening. And, we had discussions from Ms. Doris Mora, School Head, Riara Kindergarten. We also had Mr. Peter Kinyanjui, Manager, Kuza Elimu, who was here, and we had very fruitful conversations. And allow me to... It won't be as loud as this one, but you can still proceed.
So I test my voice.
Yes.
We know their ways, we know their pathways. But what most people don't know is the ways and the pathways of the new group, the CBE group. Next year, they are expected to join the senior schools. About 1.4 of them did the KGSE exams, and they are expected to transit to senior school next year. Now, in public schools, there is a space of 2-point-something million for them. But only 1.4 did the exams. That means what? In public schools, we have a lot of space for them. Now, if all of them join the public schools, the 1.4, where will the private school get their candidates? So that is a challenge to you. The curriculum that they are going through will be an exciting one. And it is only the best school that may likely attract learners going forward. As a ministry, we are prepared. We have already issued guidelines for senior schools. We have issued joining instructions for the learners and parents. Yeah? Schools have identified their pathways. As you know, there are 3 pathways: the social, the STEM, and the sports pathways. Within the STEM pathways, we are telling our public schools that it is not a must that all of us, we have science labs for pure chemistry, for pure biology and physics. Because STEMs are coming in two ways. There is the pure science STEM, and there is the technology STEM. So, if your learner is one that is at an average of maybe D or C as per the old system, which will be the best option for such a learner? Yeah? Is it a learning experience that when they exit the senior system, yeah, they will forget what they have been doing? Or is it the one that when they exit, they will continue to pursue? And that's why we are saying, or we are encouraging them, that we should have workshops for things like metalwork, woodwork, and so forth. So that when they exit the senior school system, they should be able to continue with those skills. So private schools, I don't know how we are prepared for that. The theme, nurturing learners, is a very good theme, and it aligns well with the CBE. Because in CBE, we want to give learners an opportunity to do what they can best do. And we want to nurture them so that they can go through, not on themselves, but also with our guidance as the parents, as teachers, and other stakeholders. So we are saying even schools should have what we call portfolios, yeah? Learners' portfolios, whereby you open a file for an individual learner, and in that file, you should be able to identify their talents and their skills and recognize them accordingly. For example, if a learner, innovates something in the course of their studies, yeah, you award such a learner something like a recognition certificate. When this learner exits the senior system with a portfolio file, they should be able to be picked or placed anywhere else after the school. So that is the kind of experience. So the ministry is prepared for the new group next year. I just want to pause and invite my colleague, the Director of Quality Assurance, maybe to deep more details on what we should actually prepare for the next year group. Thank you. Welcome.
Thank you so much, Bwana Director, for the opportunity. Allow me to speak as an appendix to him, add something to what he has said as an officer from his office. Colleagues, the private sector, I want to first and foremost thank you so much for your collaboration. The responsibility of providing education lies with the government, but you have come in to support and partner with the government in the provision of education, and we don't want to take that one for granted because we know it takes a sacrifice, it takes resources to get such kind of facilities in place for our learners. We also want I want to also take this opportunity to appreciate this very important kind of a meeting where this kind of minds come together so that we can chart a way forward for this country. Our colleagues in Nairobi, the private sector plays a very key role in the provision of basic education. In our primary schools, the privates are out of the 1,000, about 1,200 primary schools in Nairobi, only 315 are public. Almost 1,000 are private schools. In the secondary sector, we have around almost 400 secondary schools, and out of this, almost 300 are private schools. What does that one mean? That a large percentage of our learners are in private schools, which means that if those learners are not provided for appropriately, then this country is in trouble. I remember one gentleman saying that the reason why a rich man cannot sleep is because the poor man is awake. If we don't provide for this very important population of the learners in the private schools, just like in the public schools, then this country is not safe. None of us is going to sleep going forward. That is why I really appreciate this meeting. Number two, the whole world is looking forward to transition next year. And you have all seen a wash in the papers everywhere that there is likely to be chaos come next year when our grade 9 transit to grade 10. But I can assure you, like the director said, that we are ready for the grade 10, and we want to invite you to also join us in preparing to receive our grade 10 learners next year. The theme the director has already said, it really resonates quite well with also our thinking and the thinking of the competence-based education, that we produce learners who are not for today, but for tomorrow. Learners who can think, learners who can critically look at things and then align themselves to whatever situation there may be. So allow me say the following very quickly. Number one, that as a government, as the public sector, we are ready, and we want to ask our private schools to also avoid the cautious stance they have taken in exploring. There's so many options available in terms of curriculum that many of our schools are still want to offer the already existing learning areas like computer, like computer, when we have many others which have come on board. The fear has always been that it is very expensive, that it is very challenging, but I want to invite you to enjoy the thrill of that challenge. And quickly, what are we supposed to do? One, as a government, we have been advised that we take advantage of the existing facilities in the TVET institutions. In our neighboring TVET vocational training colleges, we have workshops, we have human resource that we can take advantage of, so that instead of thinking about putting up a workshop in your school, you can do a collaborate with a TVET nearby, work there, make an arrangement so that when you have a good work practical class, for example, which the director talked about here, you have an arrangement, you walk across to that TVET near your place, to that vocational training college near your place. And I am happy that the president of this Republic of Kenya, when he was serving as the Minister for Higher Learning, you remember what he did. We have so many of them around, walk across, pick that work, from that workshop, from that technical room, let your learners get something from there. Equally, we can get the human resource from those learning institutions so that they are able to support our learners as they transit to grade 10. I also want to allay the fear of staffing. Yesterday we were in some institution and we learned that we even have teachers who can handle marine in this country. So we have those, the human resource that we require. We only need to put up adverts, and we can be sure that we shall have them. Otherwise, colleagues, like the director said finally, is that our labs the science labs which we already have will get a lot more relevance when we have the technical rooms, because many students may not want to pursue the MPC kind of a pathway or the STEM pathway, but the pure science pathway, but can pursue it through the technical subjects. So these technical subjects plus the science labs, the technical workshops, plus the science labs that we have, together we shall build a strong STEM pathway. Otherwise, colleagues, finally it's expected that as our learners will be graduating from our senior schools, they should be able to graduate with 2 certificates, dual certification. They will get a basic education certificate and a certificate for art science for those who shall pursue the STEM technology part of it, so that once they get out into the world, they are able to join either the world of work directly or through apprenticeship. They have the skills that they require to join the world of work. Otherwise, ladies and gentlemen, the CPE is a very exciting curriculum. We are ready for it. And I want to tell you, it's going to bring all together. It is the kind of curriculum that will take us to the Vision 2030. Otherwise, with that, thank you so much for the chance. And Director, with all honor, thank you for giving me an opportunity to speak after you. Thank you.
All right, so once again, thank you so much. So what I will do before the second panel comes to speak is that I will invite Bwana Sogoti, please come through on stage. Our representatives from the ministry and our CEO for a photo op, please come through. They're going to be having a photo op right here. Remember, this is the 4th edition of the Kenya Private Schools Expo and Conference happening right here at KICC. And remember, it's all matters education. Please come through on stage for a photo op. There we have it. Thank you so much. Fine gentlemen, right here we'll have hii moja ni ya gazeti, moja ya gazeti hapo. Very good, very good. Tuwapigie makofi one more time because they're doing a fantastic job. Mr. Kipturgo, representative from the Ministry of Education, Mr. Sogoti as well, right there. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for that. And right now, remember, this is the theme for this particular event is nurturing learners for a sustainable tomorrow. Reason why we are big on sustainability is to ensure that our learners and our teachers as well, or rather even our schools in our education sector gets to give the best in terms of quality and also ensuring that we are relevant to the job market. And right now, I'd like to invite for the second panel, my colleague and my predecessor in the game, that is Wangeshi Muriuki right here, who's a news anchor at NTV and also a producer as well. Senior news anchor, senior producer right here. Karibu sana. Lovely lady, looking amazing this particular afternoon. Yes, it's already afternoon. She's right here and she's going to be taking us through the second panel discussion. Karibu sana.
Thank you very much, Jose. Raise your hands if you can hear me. 2 hands. I said 2. Your hands. Your hands. Your hands. Your hands. Thank you very much. And we continue to learn today because we are here to learn and also to help our kids so that they can also be competitive with the world out there tomorrow. Before I start the panel discussion, kindly allow me to introduce one particular person who will be talking to us. He is a financial expert. He's specialized in school financing solutions. He works with private schools to support infrastructure growth and also technology adoption and also sustainable financial management through innovative credit models. Let's put our hands together for one Willis Jula, who's the credit director, Worth Credit Capitals Limited. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for this opportunity. My name is Willis Jula, the Credit Director at Worthy Credit Capitals. At Worthy Credit Capital, we listen, we solve. Our main forte has been trade finance, but as per our motto that we listen, we solve, we also engage in other financing. We also do car loan. We also do car repairs. We do what has brought us here, education loan facilities. Our main aim in the education facility is to ensure that the student, the child, remains in school. In a way, it also gives an opportunity for the parent to explore the options that they have. Because when they leave the child with us to finance the school, they can do other things. And this will enable them, will take care of the disruptions of attending school for the child, or embarrassment where a child has been sent home. That becomes our headache. The other thing, when a parent is financially enabled, the schools run with stability. And the person who benefits more is the child. So we come in and we assist the parent. The loan is specifically for school fees. And for those who have come today, we are requesting that you visit our booths. One is at the back, the other one is number 5. Those who are not able to visit, you can visit our socials. You can interact with us also through the website, www.wathicreditcapital.co.ke. You can make a call. Our line is 0202 059 059. Mobile number is 0701 059 059. And work with you. We're really eager to finance your need. The other thing is that for those who have come today, we have an offer. If you visit our booth, there's a 2% discount on this product. So ensure before you leave, you visit our booth. One of them, as I said, is just round behind there. The difference that you're bringing in this product, how we are doing it different from other people. One is that we are targeting specifically international schools, because we saw a gap where our complementers, they're not competitors, they are our complementers, because the market is very big. It is enough for everyone. There are normally challenges of maybe the amount. For us, the amount, the minimum is 500,000. So you can also talk to us. The second important thing, which is different from others, there's a credit line that we can give you, for example, of 10 million, so that you only pay at your will the school fees. Your work is just to instruct us to wire money to the school, but you only pay the amount that you have utilized. It is per usage billing. So those two items is what is making us to be different from the others. Please visit us today. Thank you very much.
A better clap, please. And Willis, please don't leave. Please have a seat. We'll be joining our panel. At this particular point, we'll have our panel discussion. We are looking at how we can reform education together, how policy, innovation, and also partnerships are shaping schools in this country. Allow me to introduce our panelists for this particular hour. And I'll start with Evelyn Olo, who's the founder and the CEO of A Cyber School. Karibu sana. Let's put our hands together for Evelyn. Our second person, the next person is Dr. Jacqueline Onyango, the Senior Deputy Director, Basic Education, Curriculum Development, and Kenya Institute of Curriculum Development. Karibu sana. Please, let's put our hands together for Dr. Jacqueline. Next on stage is Mr. Haron Nyongesa, who's the founding school leader, Nova Pioneer, that is Tattoo City International. Let's put our hands together for them. Thank you very much. And karibu sana. And I'll just start our conversation. And maybe we can start from far right. Introduce yourself and maybe how this topic relates to what you do at Nova Pioneer.
Confident, responsible global citizens who are prepared to build and thrive in an ever-changing world. This topic is particularly relevant to us because, first of all, as private schools, we play a very important role in delivering education to the millions of children in our country. And Nova Pioneer tells that specifically and the topic is pertinent, policy, innovation, and partnerships. How private schools are using those to share education in Kenya. At Nova Pioneer, we really take time to carefully study all the policies regarding our work in education, from the SDG goals, the 17 of them, we translate them every year to our work. And so we think SDGs we focus on every year. That would be good education, it would be good health and well-being.
Before the panel started, we were having conversations, and I was telling my fellow panelists over there that a gazillion years ago, I took my son to Nova Pioneer. He's since graduated university, but I was very surprised by, the level of out-of-the-box thinking they do in that school, and it was very interesting to see because when you look around local institutions, it's very interesting the way they do things, and I've been privileged to design some of the World Bank projects that is supporting the Ministry of Education, including KICD. And curriculum development and advancing the CBE, CBC, and, involvement of it has been at the core. And I believe there's also something currently happening with enhancing the curriculum daktari further. Yeah. So it's very interesting, and the colleagues from the Ministry of Education also mentioned something about that. Why am I talking about this? For me, I believe that the best way to learn is by doing. And we're going to see some of that this afternoon for the AI Future Makers session, where we'll have kids from the age of 9 to 18 build different tools using AI. And this concept didn't start yesterday. This concept started a while ago. And I started this whole journey of, getting into private education because I realized that we have a gap. And most institutions, they talk about innovation instead of doing. And this is not just in basic education or high school, even in our universities, because I've worked extensively even with University of Nairobi, School of Computer Science, Professor Kaonge, and I've worked with Strathmore and other institutions. You find that there's still, I think because of the bureaucracy, they don't move fast as they would want to move when it comes to innovation, but the ideas are there. They have brilliant people, they want to move, they want to do things, but you find there's a lot of limitations, not just financial, but also in terms of technical capacity. And I'm glad that the country is moving in a direction where now we are thinking right from primary school, how do we put innovation at the center of it? And I've also seen that in high schools, they're catching up with Nova Pioneer. So you need to pull up your socks. And also in universities, a while back when you talked about universities that were keen on innovation, you were talking about the Strathmores, the USIU, but right now you have a lot of even technical public universities that are also really keen on innovation, thanks to also DFIs and other institutions that are coming and they want to support this.
Thank you very much. And before we continue, allow me to introduce Mr. Matthew Ngelu, who is a director at Lukenya School, and he'll be joining the panel as we continue. Karibu sana, Mr. Matthew. Just as Mr. Matthew comes up, I would like to actually know from you, which are the policies that you look at and you think these policies hinder innovation, or they're actually pulling us behind, yet our children are supposed to be competing with kids who are all over the world?
So it's interesting you talk about policy, and I was in a conversation yesterday, and it was the usual debate of whether innovation should follow policy or policy should follow innovation. It's a chicken and egg situation, especially with AI right now, where not just Kenya, not just Africa, but globally, governments and institutions are struggling to see how they can put policies as, breaks in place to be able to support innovation that doesn't run out of control. And, they're really struggling right now. And I'm involved in a couple of think tanks that are trying to do this by, forming some sandboxes that come up with regulations that cut across, for example, fintech, retail, and all this. And it's very interesting. When it comes to education, first I want to applaud our Ministry of Education, because they tend to be a bit agile. And because of the number of partners also who've come in to support the education system in Kenya being very strategic in the region, you find that we are ahead, in most of these things. But when it comes to technology, no. Leave alone even just education. When it comes to just, in the marketplace. For example, the recent policies that have been passed on cyber, what we passed earlier in the year on AI, and the incremental changes we've been making in terms of how we approach these things. It's very interesting. So the government is very keen, but no, I mean, we are not at the place where I would want to be.
Let's welcome Mr. Matthew. And I'll ask you the same question I asked everyone. What is your institution doing to ensure that you're at par with others in terms of innovation, partnership, and also with the curriculum?
Thank you so much, Wageshi. I stand in for Lukenya Schools, and the question of what are we doing in line with ensuring that our schools are offering CBE in line with the policy, and that we are integrating innovation and partnership in the offering of the education. For me, Wangeshi, I would say we are pace setters, and we take pride in that. And I first want to say this because we were very excited with the transformation or the shift of education from the old 844 system to the CBE. Reason being, we were part of the people who are implementing the old system. We were part of the stress and the failures of the 844 system. And studying and understanding the CBE, for me, was like God coming through, for the Kenyan child and for the Kenyan country, because in its structure and nature, the CBE encourages, or rather embraces, the use of innovation. There's no way you can deliver the curriculum of CBE without embracing innovation. And therefore, in everything we do, in everything in our planning and execution of the curriculum, we have to apply innovation in very many levels of innovation and also areas. Again, in partnership, this is one type of education where it calls for partnership, right from, let's say, the private schools. We cannot deliver the CBE without partnering with the government. The government is the one providing the policy. monitoring the implementation. There's no way we can succeed without partnering with our parents, same as private schools themselves, like what we are doing today. And therefore, I'm very excited to be here today to speak of what we can do together to reshape the education of our country and to succeed in the implementation of the new education system. Thank you.
Thank you. I wanted to hand over to Dr. Jacqueline. And when you're doing the risk management or the risk assessment of the previous curriculum and also looking at CBE, what were the challenges that you encountered or the gaps that you saw? And also speak briefly about the infrastructure situation in the country that you actually thought would support CBE.
Thank you, Angeshi. The needs assessment is basically to find out what the status is and what the gap is in education. And the reason we do that is because it's expected that society is dynamic. And so with every 5 years, according to the International Bureau of Education, which is the global organization that supports and advises on matters curriculum, a curriculum should be reviewed every 5 years. Sorry. So a curriculum is supposed to be reviewed at least every 5 years as the need arises. And so for you to review, you must know what you're going to change. So in a nutshell, as we looked at the 844 system and where we wanted to go, there are about 4 things that came out. One, that we were so exam-oriented, and that was the major issue, to the extent that if a student did not get high marks, we assume they should not leave. And I'm using the word not leave because they don't find a place in society. So if you don't have an A in Kenya, at that time you are seen to have failed. We had seen many cases of children committing suicide just because they have not gotten certain grades. But the exam orientation was causing a lot of stress on learners because they don't learn the skills. Basically, it is rote learning and repeating what you have been told. The second thing was the disconnect between theory and practice. That our learners had so much information, they can tell you everything about what they need to do, but when it comes to doing it, it becomes a challenge. And one of the simple examples that our students gave us, you'll find that in a very hot season, they are wearing sweaters. It's very hot. Common sense tells us that when it's very hot, you don't put on a sweater. Why are they doing that? Because they don't have buttons on their shirts. And when you ask them, why didn't you put the buttons on your shirt? They'll tell you, I know how to sew the button, but I've not sewn the button before, because they've never threaded a needle. So theory and practice is very important in terms of what we need to do. The third critical item was the disconnect between what the child is learning and the career they want to undertake. Because we assume that as you go to school, you're learning the various subjects, they chart the way for whatever career you want to take. So the problem with the career came in 2 ways. One, that parents are dictating what learners should do. And so students are going to university, for example, and they are taking courses which their parents would like them to take, not what they would have liked to take. And secondly, it was the issue of selective choice of careers. There are careers that are seen to be, would I say, the careers to be in, and others careers not to be in. But looking at education, basically we go to school so that we can be able to manage ourselves and manage the environment around us. By managing ourselves and the environment around us, then we can actually contribute to the development we say is happening in the country. And so looking at that, then we asked ourselves, what would be the best place for the child? So we said the first thing, the person going to school is the child and not we, the parents. So let's give the child the center. And that is why our mission for the curriculum is to nurture every learner's potential. So when you're coming to school, we want to ensure you can pick the value we've added so that you can be able to exit knowing where you can perform. And secondly, we then said it's important to involve parents so that they understand what the school system is about and how they can support the learners. And so that is why when you look at the way we have designed the curriculum, it is practice-oriented, and that is why you're finding children practicing more what they learn, but we are also giving responsibility to both the community and the parents that you must help guide the children. It's not a teacher's affair alone. So looking at the gaps that we picked and the issues we were supposed to deal with, then we were able to design the curriculum in the way that it is and seeking that partnership of everybody so that conspicuously within a child's frame of school, they can see the parent, they can see the teacher, and they can see the community.
Thank you very much. Nyongesa, from where you sit, do you think there are still gaps in the curriculum? Before we come to you, Evelyn.
Sorry, do you mind?
Do you still think there are gaps within the curriculum from where you sit?
Thank you. I wouldn't say there are any gaps in the curriculum. It is really how we interpret it, the capacitation of teachers, so that teachers have the right knowledge, understanding of the curriculum. They're able to interpret, translate, and enact it. Because we have a theory of policy enactment, so policy mediation, that no matter how well a curriculum or a policy may be designed, the actors on the ground are the ones who actually determine whether it succeeds or not. Now, in this case, we really need to make sure that our schools and our teachers really understand the curriculum through not one-off training, but very regular training programs that can really help them to unpack, first understand the intention of the curriculum, the vision of the curriculum, and then the contents, the objectives, and then how to bring it to life in their classes through each of their activities. It's a very wonderfully designed curriculum. We must give credit to the government and to the KICD. The issue is interpreting, translating, enacting it so that it actually, what is on paper is what is realized, not just in the best equipped schools, but in all the schools across the country. And that's where the challenge is, and that's where the private schools come in. Because private schools have more capacity in many ways, in terms of the infrastructure, in terms of the class sizes, in terms of the resources, in terms of the ability to run training programs so that teachers can really deliver it. I want to give an example of what we do at Nova Pioneer. So our teachers receive 100 hours of training every single year, on-the-job training every week, and they all receive personal coaching, training, and support. And this helps them to really know what the curriculum is about, to understand it, and to bring it to life in the classrooms. Now, the question is, across the country, how many schools are able to do that, public and private? That's where the rubber meets the road, and that's now, I think that's the big question, because it's not about, is the curriculum good? It is. I think that's beyond question. The question is, are we delivering it in an equitable way to a high standard across the country? And that really is where partnerships give us an opportunity to really deliver it. Partnerships, government, private, and so on. But the curriculum is good, I must say, and credit to the government.
Thank you very much. If you
so
can
much.
pass the mic to Evelyn, had something to say.
There's so much noise around it. It has almost evaded me. So no, I was going to have a rejoinder to what Dr. was saying about some of the case studies that informed having this career that is done by doing. And that story that you gave about the baton is actually very profound, Daktari. That's a very interesting insight because I have a niece who keeps doing the CBC things with the Uzi and stuff, and I've been wondering, what the hell are you guys doing? So it's good to actually have a background to that. Now, again, back to learning by doing. And it's very interesting, again, that she mentioned that, a lot of people say or know they've learned something theory, but when you ask them to do it, it becomes a real big challenge. And it's unfortunate that that's also the situation, not just in our high schools or primary schools, but also universities. And that is why you will find, so Jeff said that he's a product of public schools. Public schools of now are not really public schools of what they used to be before. So, in terms of, students or learners having practical skills that they can apply to the world is really a challenge. I'll give you a brief history about a cyber school. So a cyber school was founded by a couple of friends from the World Bank, where I work a couple of years now, working on digital development projects and trade. Designing and implementing a couple of projects across the region. And, at the outset of COVID, we realized that, cybersecurity was a really big challenge for SMEs and for institutions alike. And we tried to liaise with the schools to give us their talents, because there were schools who were, teaching cybersecurity as a unit and others as a plain subject. And we said, let's work with your graduates to try and build, the capacity of these businesses and these institutions that are getting random attacks left, right, and center. But when we got those students, some of them had performed very well in their studies, but when you sent them to a small businesses, they didn't know where to start. But they have a degree, they have masters in cybersecurity. So we started thinking, oh my goodness, there's something very wrong here. So then initially when we started, through the Africa Cybersecurity and AI Foundation, which I'm the chair, we were like, okay, let's just build the capacity. But then we realized that just building capacity is not enough. You need to go a step further. And so we've done that with cybersecurity, where we've run, programs with Konza, Technopolis, Open University, University of Nairobi, and a couple of universities, taking their graduates and, giving them practical skills now for the job or even for working in the gig economy by themselves. And that is exactly the same principle or model that we've taken also in AI. And it's interesting because we started having conversations on AI before AI was a thing. I remember as far as 2019, I wrote a book about Bola, a 13-year-old boy who was, almost committed suicide because he was chatting with a bot, which was actually a sex trafficking ring, but he thought was, another girl. And back then, AI was not a thing. So when I spoke to educators in schools and were reading the book, they said this is very far-fetched. This can never be. And I was like, no. The future is where, you can be speaking to your mom on the phone on video, but it's actually not your mom. And they're like, no, that's not going to happen. So I said, okay, fine. So it's very interesting. Like now, 2 years ago, they said, Eva, how did you know about this thing? I said, no, it's logic. When technology starts advancing, you start thinking about the possibilities. And so then we said, okay, what can we do now in this age of AI, where we have schools that are teaching technology or other skills, but then they're hearing about this AI. They're trying to wonder, how do they go around it? They're telling kids, don't use AI for your assignments. Of course, they will use AI for their assignments. Don't do this. If you're found, you will be penalized. And, and we're looking at it and say, you're thinking about this very wrong. Yeah, you think about this very wrong, and I'd like to hear what Nova Pioneer is doing on this, because what you need to do as an organization is very fast see how can you actually embrace this technology and be ahead of it and develop policies as you go along. So you develop policies as you do and as you're seeing the pitfalls. So I think that is something that academia in general is supposed to look at, not just universities, but also high schools are supposed to see how can they move forward. And that is why I'm very excited about this partnership with Nation Media, because then what we're going to do going forward is work with institutions of tertiary education, high schools, to see how do we bring practical skills into these institutions without them having to invest in large language models, which, you know, it's impossible. It's very, very expensive. You see now OpenAI and Cloud and all these people are putting up data centers. These are billions of dollars. You can't. But then if we are able to give them a plug-and-play tool, then their students are actually able to gain these AI skills without breaking the bank, and then they'll be able to compete with a kid in New York. And when I talk to parents, I tell them this. Your kid right now, the opportunities that they have at hand with a kid in San Francisco or Hawaii or Singapore is the same. Right now, if your kid is watching YouTube, you will be surprised. There was a study that was done that kids of a certain age, they watch the same thing on YouTube as, you know, with kids across the world. So they're consuming the same content. The difference is, what are our kids doing with this content that they are consuming? That's actually the major difference. So your kid is watching YouTube, and a kid in San Francisco is watching YouTube, watching the same content, but what are they gaining from that, and what are they doing on that? So that is what we are very keen on working with institutions to see. Right now, everybody is on an equal footing. So then, how do institutions of higher education then leapfrog to be able to prepare a workforce that is ready for the future of work for tomorrow? And I'm very excited about that.
Thank you very much. And at that particular point, we have to wind up, but the conversation will still continue, but we are giving away this opportunity for the news team to take up and run news. But we will be continuing with this conversation here at Sarit Center. If you're not here, please make your way. And so continuing with our conversation, from where you sit, how does Lukenya tap into the positives of innovation, but also protect your kids from...